Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. If you're returning, hello, nice to see you again. If you are new here, my name is Dakota, and here we talk about knitting and yarn. We do like show and tell, which is really fun, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We just talk about knitting and yarn and maybe some other things, but usually it's just about knitting. So if you're interested in that, you are welcome to subscribe if you like to, and leave a comment about things that you're working on now. So today I don't have any finished objects, but I have some bigger works in progress, some exciting stuff, some yarn acquisitions, and yeah, I'm excited about it. So if you want, grab a drink, grab a project to work on, and we'll just get right into it. Before we jump in though, I will share what I'm wearing. This is my Monday sweater by, it's a pattern by Petite Knit, and I finished this like in 2022 actually. I finished it like in the fall of 2022. So I'm happy to report that this is probably my most worn sweater that I have, and it's definitely my favorite sweater just because it's so basic. It's just a raglan sweater, and I really like how well the yarn is held up. I think I used Sunday by Sadness Garn and a strand of Knitting for Olive, but back then I didn't take any notes, so I could not tell you. It's something I'm trying to get better at. So yeah, let's jump in. So the first thing I'll talk about is my cardigan that finally looks like a cardigan. I always butcher this name because I don't know how to say it, but this is my Mogensen cardigan. It's a pattern by Woolfolk Designs, and it's an all-over cable cardigan. I'll just show it to you before I get into the details. So this is it. That's the front, and here's the back. So first of all, this is a bottom-up construction. Ugh, I have fuzzies in my nose. This is a bottom-up construction, which I have never done before. Yeah, I cast it on, and I casted this on in November. Cast it on, and then I just knit and knit and knit until I had to split for the front and back. So the front panels and the back. So this is a pattern it's continuously knit. You're not like knitting each panel and then sewing it together. You knit it all together, but you have to split for the panels. And so I split for the front and back panels, and then also for the shoulder panels. And I was just like, what is this gonna turn out to be? I have no idea. I was just like praying that it would come together in the end, and I'm so happy to report that it has. I'll insert a photo of it on, because I just joined the panels this morning. So it finally looks like a cardigan. For a while it was just looking like a huge blanket, and I was like, there's no way that this is gonna come together to make something, but it has, and I'm so happy. I'm happy I just trusted the pattern, and the pattern is very detailed, which can feel like very overwhelming. I think, at least for me, it felt pretty overwhelming. I was just like, that's a lot of words. I don't know if I'm doing this right. There's like just too much, but it ended up working in my favor. Like, it describes techniques you have to use. There are techniques I've never used. And yeah, I think the pattern is great. But so yeah, this morning I finally joined the panels. So right here is the front panel, right? Front panel, back panel, and you do the shoulder construction too. And this is where I did my 3-needle bind off. It looks fine. It's a little uneven, I think, but whatever. It's my first time doing this, and I'm just like so happy with how it is, so whatever if there's some mistakes. There are no like obvious mistakes to me. One thing that is different is I knit in between a size, so I had to like mess with my stitch count a bit, and because of that my sleeves, so I have my sleeves on DPNs right now, and because of that, like the amount of stitches I had to pick up for the arm were a lot less. Like my armhole is quite small, but when I tried it on, I was very happy with how it was. So I casted on some extra stitches. I'm hoping like it'll be fine, and after blocking too, it'll be okay, but there were just less stitches. So I, you know, like having to kind of navigate that was a little challenging, but I have hope that it'll be okay. Because there were less stitches, they wouldn't fit on my cable needle. The cable was just too big, and I didn't feel like doing magic loop, and I didn't want to stretch out the stitches either, so I put them on DPNs. And I've never knit with DPNs before. At least I've knit like the toe of a sock. I always knit my toes with DPNs, but I've never knit a whole sleeve with it. So yeah, this is an experience. They're the Licca driftwood DPNs, and I really like them, especially with this yarn, because this yarn is like quite grippy. I just feel like it would slip right off of metal needles. Not like, does that make sense? I don't know, but they feel nice on these needles. So so yeah, this is the cardigan, and I'm so excited. So what I have left is I have to knit the sleeves, and then I have to block it, and then I knit the double knit button band. And I've never done that before. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm just going with the pattern and we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress so far, and I'll talk about the yarn. So this is the yarn. It is very unique. I've never worked with anything like this. So here's a close-up of the yarn and the strand, if it will focus. I don't think it's going to. So this is Woolfolk Tog. I never know how to pronounce these names. And it's in the color 00. It's just like this slightly off-white, like neutral, warm-ish yarn, and it's super fluffy. Surprisingly, there's no Surrey in this. It is merino wool and mohair. So just how they spun it, it ended up being like super fluffy, and this yarn is so warm. Even when I put it on like with no sleeves, I was like, wow, this is just radiating warmth. So I would really like to have this finished by like, I don't know, we still have a week or so until February. Maybe I can push it out, but I would at least like to have the sleeves done by the end of the month. So you know, I'd like to be able to wear it in February and March, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, I am so happy with this, and I've been wanting to knit this pattern for like a year, so it's really cool to finally see it like in real life in my hands, and I can't wait to see how it looks when it's blocked. It is huge, so like I can't bring this with me to places to knit. It's basically like a giant cardigan jacket. So yeah, I just have to work on it at home, but I do, like, I've had some more free time, which is exciting. So that's my progress on that, and I just started the sleeve, so or at least one of the sleeves, so I'm feeling pretty excited about it. I don't feel like, you know, I have no desire to finish the sleeves. I'm excited, so yeah, hopefully by next time the sleeves will be done. And that's that project. So let's move on to my second one, which was not even casted on in the last podcast, but I had talked about the yarn. Yeah, I guess let's talk about the yarn first. So this yarn, I'm almost done with this cake, but this is the La Bien Amie Cori worsted weight yarn, and the colorway is called Moria. And this color, it's very hard to see on camera, but it's like this deep purple color, but it also like has variation in it. Like there's darker specks of purple and then some like lighter gray tones in it too. So yeah, and the yarn is quite like shiny, if that makes sense. So this is a very woolly wool, and I knew I wanted to knit cables with it, and in the last podcast I was like, I don't know what pattern to use. I was between the sweater I'm knitting now and the Billy pullover by Sorry Nordland, and I just made the decision to knit this sweater instead, just cause, but I'm glad I made the decision I made because I'm really enjoying this. So let me show you. This is the Dornie Sweater by Crayabea, or Rebecca Clow is her actual name. But this is my Dornie sweater, and it's funny because I grew up in a place in Pennsylvania, and there was a theme park called Dornie Park that was like 5 minutes from my house, and that was like where I went on the weekends. And so I kind of like associate the name with that a bit. But anyway, so this is her. This sweater like wasn't even on my radar when it came out. I think the pattern was released last year and I thought it was beautiful, but you know, I didn't really have an interest to knit it until I got this yarn. And I was like, you know, I knew I wanted to do cables with it, but I saw this on Ravelry and I was like, that's the one. Like, I feel this is the one. So I'll give you a little up close of the cables and the raglan. So I started this on the 13th of January, which was about 10 days ago. And I kid you not, I got so excited that literally in one day I knit half the yoke, and by the end of day 2, the yoke was done and I was ready to split for the sleeves. So I've just been so excited to knit this. This pattern, you start by, first of all, I think it is pretty beginner friendly. I have knit like charted patterns before, I've knit cabled sweaters before, so I'm quite used to it, and as someone with experience, I feel it's very easy to follow. Like, this pattern is super easy. So for a beginner, I feel like, yeah, you'd have some like challenges just learning new techniques, but I really think that this is a pretty simple cable pattern. There's no short rows, I don't think. You start with the back of the neck and you basically just do some rows knitting flat and do some increases. And then eventually, like, you can join in the round and do the thing, the knitting in the round thing for the front. And you do raglan stitches or increases on each side of the raglan. And yeah, these beautiful cables. I feel like depending on how you look at this sweater, it looks different. Like, you know, those things, I don't know what it's called, but when like you see a photo and there's like multiple images in the photo, that's what like happens to my eyes when I look at this sweater, depending on like how I'm looking at the cables. And I don't know, I think that's just like a fun, it's really fun. So yeah, this is the Dornie sweater. I'm knitting it in size 3, and the size 3 calls for the finished bust circumference is a 99-inch bust circumference, I think, which is typically like what I try to go for. I try to go like around like 5 to 10 centimeters of positive ease. So yeah, I chose the size 3, but I'm a pretty loose knitter, so I usually downsize my needles, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't gauge swatch for textured patterns. It's just something that is intimidating to me and I just haven't done it. So it hasn't, I mean, it kind of failed me once, but nothing like so devastating that I feel like I have to do it. I just kind of pick a size that I'm comfortable with and I try it out. So it hasn't failed me yet. I was a little worried because like this looks tiny, and I don't know, I was freaking out a little bit. I'm like, the yoke looks really small, but then I was like, I've only ever knit like oversized sweaters. Like even this has a lot of positive ease on it, and I wanted this sweater to be more like form-fitting with a little bit of positive ease. So I was like, just trust it, just trust it. I sized down to a 4mm needle, so the pattern calls for 4.5. So for a while I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. But once I split for the sleeves and like saw how big the armholes were, and then when I stretched the fabric out, like it's really stretchy. And I knit a pair of socks once that it was ribbed and cabled, like similar to the sweater, and it was super cinched in, but then the sock ended up being too big on me. So I have faith that this will be totally fine. I'm about like halfway down the body, if not a little bit more, and I'm just in love. Like I'm obsessed with this worsted weight yarn. It's working up pretty quickly. I was watching the Knit California podcast. Her name is Leslie, and she started doing this thing where in her podcast she'll place like a progress marker in that podcast, and then will show how much progress she's made once she films the next podcast. So I put one for me because I really like that idea, and maybe I'm stealing it. So yeah, I placed a stitch marker. So we'll see how much progress I can get until the next podcast. Hopefully the body will be completely done. So there won't be any stitch marker, but we'll see. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, but this is so beautiful and I'm so happy with it, and I can't wait to wear it, and I can't wait to do the sleeves, and it's just like something I'm really excited about right now. So that's my Dornie sweater. That's all I have to say about it right now, but once it's a finished object, I'm sure I'll have more to say about it. The other sweater I was knitting is my last long pullover that I talked about, but I don't have any more progress on it because I've just been really preoccupied with these projects, to be honest. So yeah, it is what it is. I will get to it, just these are taking priority right now. The next thing is a also newly cast on project, but it's also a yarn acquisition, and yeah, I have a story, I guess, behind it. So I was watching, I think there's two people that I was watching. I was watching Chelsea from True Lane, and then I was watching Amy from Knee Knits, and they both like have sweaters that they've made recently or in the past. I don't know. They just were showcasing really beautiful speckled fabric sweaters. And I am not really someone that loves a lot of variegation in my yarn, like the super heavily variegated yarns I typically don't like, but I really like the look of like the spread out speckles and little variegation in the sweater, and paired with a mohair to like just give it a completely different look. Like I was watching that and I was like, I want that right now, even though I don't need it. I really want it. And I was in the area of my local yarn store yesterday, and I was like, let me just go. Let me see. I know I don't need anything, and I wasn't necessarily going in there with, you know, the thought of I'm not gonna get anything, but so that was just dangerous because I ended up buying stuff. But I did have this idea of I want something variegated, and I really like don't have much variegated yarn in my collection. So, and I was like, I don't need to get anything crazy. I can just get something small. Like I could knit a hat. So I went in just looking, and I ended up buying a hat quantity of yarn plus some other stuff. So the yarn that I picked up two yarns for the idea in my head. So these are the two yarns, and I have already casted them on, so I'll show you what they look like together, but here's what they look like separate. So the cakes are a little bit messy, I'm sorry. But here is the one cake, and this is a new to me yarn. The brand is called Liz. I'm not French speaking, and I'm sorry. I'm very horrible at pronunciation unless it's Spanish. So yeah, brand new yarn to me, and this is in the colorway Escape Now. The tag I have, so I'll read it to you. Apparently the owner of the yarn store brought this back with her from France, so there was only a limited quantity and I only got one of them, so I have to make this work for a hat. But this is the brand. I haven't checked it out. I'm gonna look them up on Instagram. Their Instagram is trayliz_color_is_power. So this is the label, and the components or the makeup of this yarn is 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and you get 400 meters, 100 grams. And yeah, the color is Escape Now. So this color, it's a fingering weight yarn, and the color is like an overall dusty pink, dusty rose color, but then the variegation in it is purple and brown, even yellow and orange. But wow, I saw it and I was like, yes, this is it. At first I was looking for like a variegated cream base, but once I saw the pink, I just like, I don't know. I don't even know if this will look good on my skin, but I really like this color. So as I was perusing even more, I was like, okay, what mohair would go good with this? Because if I can't find a mohair, I'm not gonna get it. So I had found one from Rowan, the Kid Silk Haze, but it was a lighter color pink, which was fine, but I was like, okay, maybe this is the option. This is option one. But as I kept walking, I came across the La Bien Amie wall, and I have such a love-hate relationship with their yarn because, well, it's getting better. It's turning into a more loving relationship because I've only ever knit with like their nylon or like standard sock base, and to me, like, it's quite splitty, even though the fabric is beautiful, and I love their colorways so much. Like, they have such beautiful colors, but the yarn was just quite splitty, and you know, I would get upset because it's expensive. So anyway, I walked over there and I found the perfect mohair for this yarn, which is this. I just put them next to each other and I was like, match made in heaven. This is what I need. I've never tried their mohair before, so I was like, whatever, like, I want to try new yarn. So both of these are new to me, and I just love these colors together so much. The mohair color is, let me try to find it. The mohair is Bois de Rose, and it's mohair silk. You get 500 meters or 547 yards per 50 grams, so you get a lot, and it's 70% mohair, 30% silk. So it is very soft, but I can tell it's going to be a little prickly. We'll see though, like, who knows what it will be like after I block it. But so yeah, these together, this is what they look like in fabric together. Oh gosh, I'm dropping them. I'll just put them down and show you the fabric. So this is what it's making. It's so, so beautiful. I am obsessed with this. Like, this is everything that I was wanting and more. I am so obsessed with this that I cast it on yesterday. And by the way, I'm making an Oslo hat, which is a hat patterned by Petite Knit. Yeah, I kept knitting and knitting. My hands hurt so bad, but I was like, I have to keep going. I want to see this fabric. And I would literally just stop and stare at it for like 10 seconds, and then I would keep going. And yeah, I have a problem, but it's so pretty. You can see like close up the variegation, like the specks of orange and yellow. I love the specks of purple. Yeah, even like some, is that blue? No, purple, orange, yellow. Together with the mohair, it just creates this beautiful like haze of dusty rose. I don't even know if the camera is picking it up right. It kind of looks a little more washed out on camera, but it's quite pink. Yeah, I'm just obsessed. And I don't even know how this is gonna look on my skin. It's probably gonna wash me out a little bit, but I don't even care. I'm sure it'll be fine depending on what I'm wearing. Sometimes like knitting really is just about the process, and that is this for me. So about the pattern, yeah, I'm knitting an Oslo hat, which I've never knit before. I am knitting the mohair edition, which calls for a fingering and a lace weight yarn held together. And I'm knitting the size adult small, but I didn't have the needle that they called for, which is 3mm needle. I had a 3.25, so I decided to size down a little bit. My gauge is a little bit off. The hat, it's off by like 2 stitches, so the hat's a little bit small on me, but that's okay because with blocking, I think it'll be totally fine. I'll show you what it looks like so far. And with the stockinette, like it really curls up, but I look crazy. It's so pretty. I'm so excited. So hopefully like soon I can fold for the brim, and yeah, I love this so much. I'm so happy. So that's that. These are the yarns together and the fabric that it creates. With it's just curling up, so I can't really show you. But yeah, that's my Oslo hat, and I guess I'll put a progress marker when I'm done filming, and we'll see how far I get by next time. Okay, so the last thing I have is a yarn acquisition from yesterday, and it's a sock yarn. This is a La Bien Amie sock yarn, but I got it in the cashmerino base. It's not their standard sock base, so we'll see how I like it. The makeup of this yarn is 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% nylon, and you get 474 yards per 100 grams. And the color I got was called Stone Crop. So here it is caked up. It is a gray, creamy, like a bluish gray, creamy base, if you can see. And there's speckles in it of brown and yellow and tan. So yeah, I think it's beautiful. I loved it in the hank. So I'll insert a picture of all the yarns that I got, but this is what it looks like caked up. And I'm really wanting to knit like a pair of vanilla socks, but with like a folded over cuff, like folded in cuff, I think, with these. So I'm really dying to cast these on, actually. Like, I haven't knit a pair of socks since my Hibernial socks that I gifted to someone. So the issue is I have a lot of sock yarn right now that I need to make socks with, and I have my 52 weeks of sock book, but I also want to like get creative and make my own design of socks. So we'll see. I would really like to cast these on this week, but we'll see. Like, I have so much going on right now, and I am a pretty monogamous knitter. Like, I don't take on too much at once because I get quite overwhelmed, and then I'm like overthinking, and I'm like, I could be working on that, but instead I'm putting my energy into this right now. So, and then it's gonna take longer when I could just put it into that and finish it faster. It's just a lot. So yeah, it's just a new yarn acquisition that I'm happy about, and I can't wait to knit socks with it. That's it. That's all I have. So those are all my works in progress right now and some acquisitions. Hopefully by next time I'll have some finished objects, but of today, if you like this video, consider giving it a like and subscribe if you want. But until next time, happy knitting, and I'll see you guys in the next one.